of good hooks, I wanted to talk
Of
about
course.
my last song from this section of our new singles recap, and I got Freddie Gibbs and Schoolboy Q with Gang Signs, and my goodness gracious on this song, I was absolutely stunned how this song came out in terms of like how it sounded, because when I think Freddie Gibbs and Schoolboy on a track, I did not think we were gonna get this. So I'm very
Really?
curious. I did not at all. Like the way it's ended up coming together and sounding, thought it was gonna be. I was gonna get this like gritty, dark, hardcore,
Okay.
like type of song, and it was
Yeah.
anything but that. I felt like so. But I was curious to hear your thoughts on Gang Signs. What did you think before I get into how I feel?
Yeah. Well, I love the song. I love
It's so
Freddie
good.
Gibbs. Freddie
It's so
Gibbs
good.
has been one of my favorite rappers. Definitely one of my favorite rappers in 2020, and is still carrying on like a sick like hot streak. I think he hasn't missed in a while. Even though I was kind of so on his single Big Sean.
Yeah, that one was okay.
But it was cool to even hear Freddie in that zone because it's so different from what he was doing before. And I'll say this, I expected to like this song. I did. As in I did like it, so I wasn't wrong with that. I guess you bring up a good point. I guess on paper, a Freddie Gibbs and Schoolboy Q song would be way darker, for sure. Like, I would assume it to be way darker. But I wasn't but like when I heard the song, I wasn't necessarily surprised that that's how it was sounding, because it sounded kind of in Freddie's bag to me, and then just gets the Schoolboy feature. So maybe it wasn't necessarily like kind of like the collide of two worlds that they could have made. But Schoolboy showed out. He delivered. He showed up. And the honestly, like the whole like fuck 12 suck a dick, fuck 12 like the repetition of that, and I think like that kind of what reinforces this song as a little bit more lighthearted for them. But it's like you still listen to the freaking lyrics, and they're talking about I wake up in the morning and I throw a gang sign, like what I mean. Like I think that on paper that matches the energy you'd think both Schoolboy Q and Freddie would have. But the song was a little bit more upbeat and lighthearted than like maybe I'd think they'd go for. But I thought they both did it really well, and I think Freddie, honestly, dude, Freddie's hooks are fire. Like,
That's
Freddie's
what I was saying,
choruses
bro.
are fire.
Shit.
And he like his chorus on the Benny the Butcher track that he had was sick. He had I don't know. He just has a bunch of dope things, and like I think you wouldn't think about him like that because he's so wordy and so grimy and street, but his hooks, dude, are like, and his flows like are, I don't know, just on point. He has so much control of like whether it's fast or slow, and like even despite his guttural like deep voice, like what I mean. Like I think it's sometimes hard to get rappers to sound on like what I mean, kind of sound past their voice, if that makes any sense. To get past that kind of like you not just looking at the song in one certain way because of how like the reaction from their voice you just get initially, but like it just doesn't matter. Like and I think even with the the F12 suck a dick line, like I think that it's also just goes to show like if you follow Freddie Gibbs on any social media, like he's a clown, you know what I mean, and he has a good sense of humor. And then when he throws those kind of funny lines in there, it totally makes you forget that like this is also a guy who this is cocaine season, half man, half cocaine. Like so I just the versatility's there, and I'll say like Schoolboy's verse. I don't have a lot of lines of his that stick out, but except actually I did love this one. Way too crip to go live. You take one, we take 9. Like that was kind of fire, you know what I mean? And it had me like thinking of like rap bars to myself. I was like, oh, that like Instagram live. He's I thought that was dope. But yeah, man, all around a very, very solid track. And I didn't even hear about this, so I was glad you put this on my radar.
Yeah, I mean, just in terms of Schoolboy, like to go off your point, I really love his. I think the lyricism, it's not super like memorable, but it's very tongue in cheek. So, and I think it works to the playfulness of this song, right? Like, and kind of just the brash, like not really giving a fuck. I feel like I really enjoy that aspect of this song. And his delivery was definitely animated, and I love like his flow switches and all of that he put into this track. And yeah, I mean, you hit a lot of the points that I had too. I mean, Freddie's just always in his pocket, man, on hooks. Like, especially now, like it's become masterful at this point what he can do with a melody, and like but sounding how he does, it just doesn't seem like it should make sense, but in fact it does.
But he has the skill to make it make sense somehow. That's where it's the way he's able. I agree. Like, it's
masterful the way he's able to catch up with the beat on that double time like delivery on the flow of the hook. It's crazy. It's that's so hard to do. Like, people don't think. I mean, you're a rapper yourself and a hip hop artist. You understand, but like, it's so difficult to pull off what he's pulling off and how he does it. And yeah,
even
overall,
then with like the lyricism behind it, you know what I mean? Because it's like one thing to be able to have that musicality and say those and get those pockets in those melodies, and then it's another thing to still be saying something, right? And I think that's what like the ideal rapper can do, and that's what the ideal rapper kind of excels at, is being able to keep the lyricism or songwriting intact of the song while still keeping it entertaining, sonically.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm such a huge fan of this song. I think that even though I'm not like, and I will say this, like, I'm not disappointed necessarily. Actually, kind of the opposite, believe it or not, because I actually really enjoy the contrast of the dark sort of like tones in the vocals, but the lighthearted, upbeat like aspect of the instrumental. So in a way, I'm almost pleasantly surprised rather than disappointed. Because when I first saw Freddie and Schoolboy, I was thinking, oh man, it's gonna be a dark, gritty banger. But it ended up being completely opposite of that, and
that's funny. It's funny that
I'm okay with it.
Jump to that conclusion as well. That's just a good point. Like, could you imagine waking up in the morning and throwing a gang sign? Like, the first thing you do, like, that's so gangster, bro. That's just sick. That's so sick. And then again, not the life. Keep ranting on this, but like the constant like repetition of like fuck 12 suck a dick, fuck 12 suck a dick. It's just.
Not certainly the life I live or either of us live, but
right.
Yeah, definitely.
But man, that hit.
It hits hard, man. It's a great track. So Freddie Gibbs and ScHoolboy Q, Gang Signs, definitely one of my favorite songs of 2021 so far. But